everybody, my name is Luke Mar and this is Hot Mode, and today on Hot Mode we are going to be doing a Fall 2018 Couture Roundup because I refuse to let another fashion week ruin my upload schedule. But plot twist, I ruined my own upload schedule, so here we are. But before we get into the video, if you guys are looking for a channel that talks about fashion in the most fun, sassy, bitchy, analytical way, this is it. So you can go down below, hit the subscribe button, and turn on my post notifications. Like, what do you have to lose? Also, if you guys like these kinds of videos, definitely give it a like. It lets me know and I can do more. And if you want to see more from me, you can follow me on Instagram at Hot Mode. I post some pretty amazing fashion memes, and my Instagram stories are always popping. We're spilling the tea, like letting bitches know. So let's start talking about these haute couture shows. So Givenchy is going to be up first. Claire White Keller's Fall 2018 Givenchy Couture was a dedication to the house founder Hubert de Givenchy, who died 3 months ago, which was March 2018. Claire decided she was going to honor Hubert's memory by interpreting some of his lesser known work, like his capes and his flou, which essentially is French for his light and flowy fabrics. I don't know if I said it right. She decided on these instead of the iconic Audrey Hepburn Hubert de Givenchy looks that are normally talked about. The collection was pretty lost for me. I loved that Claire wanted to honor Hubert's work, but I don't think that that's really her strong suit. I do think that the embroidery was stunning, but the cuts were really strange, especially on that first look. Like, one half was up here, the other half was like down there. It was really scary, I didn't know what was happening. I also think that the taste level loses me quite a bit. There are some really amazing looks. I love those amazing shawls. One of them had beautiful feathers on it. I think those are breathtaking, wonderful. I also love some of those cut dresses, and I like the capes. I think that they're actually really cool. And the men's haute couture is super cool. It's not revolutionary, it's not something crazy that we've never seen before, but it's very rare that we ever see men's haute couture. And I'm happy that she's kind of bringing that into the Givenchy brand. But then I look at that gold and white dress and I just think, what's happening? How do we stop it? There was also one dress that I thought eerily looked like one of Raf's pieces for Dior, and I was like, no, what is that? Let's stop, Claire. From this collection, I'd rather Claire not do the Givenchy house code thing. Like, I don't think it's working for her. I don't think that it has to work for her though. Ricardo, it wasn't really like, oh, Givenchy. So I think that Claire can be the same way. I want her to take the amazing, beautiful Parisian lesbian vibe that she gave at Chloe and like bring it over to Givenchy, you know? Like, give it your own spin, give it a twist, give us something that we can have. Because I'd rather have something than nothing at all, you know? Next up is Schiaparelli. I'll be honest, I don't really know all that much about Schiaparelli. I know that she was a surrealist. I know that she pulled the rug out from under Chanel in the 1930s and stole almost all of her business for a while. But that's really it. Bertrand Guyon, the creative director of Schiaparelli, doesn't seem to know all that much about it either though. The collection didn't really speak to anything. There was really no distinct voice. There was no Chanel or Dior or Margiela little thing keeping us going and keeping us interested, giving us a little thing to reference or to love or to be inspired by. There was no distinct voice. It didn't have anything that said, oh, this is Schiaparelli, got it. There were some really nicely cut jackets. There were amazing oversized pants and like great prints and really heavy fabrics. And those wool jackets with flamingos and other animals on them really made me wonder if those styles would ever be trendy again. But the rest of that collection was fucking awful. Like, that neon shit was fucking ridiculous. And the one that looked like it was a rabbit, like, no, I'm sorry, that's costume. I'd rather they actually gave somebody like Miuccia Prada or somebody that really appreciates the combination of art and fashion and let them do it. Like, Christopher Kane would be amazing there because he is a very like artsy craftsy kind of dude. But this like shit that we're seeing, it's not worth it. I think I deserve better. Next up is Iris van Herpen. Iris van Herpen continues to be the emphasis of what couture is. She is literally the only designer currently inventing techniques to make haute couture. 3D printing is one of her staples, and it is something that helps her to continue to dazzle her audiences. This show was really tight. There were only 17 looks, but in those 17 looks, she established her design aesthetic once again, and she branched out just a little bit to experiment with something else, which is amazing about Iris. You can see from her work from 2009 all the way to today, it has changed and it has evolved and it has become so much better with time, and I love that for her. So let's talk about the clothes really quick. As always, we love the transparent dresses. They were amazing, they were great. Some of them gave me like showgirl in the Midwest vibes, and then the other ones were very like the plastic kind of alien-esque ones that she normally does. There were these amazing cape gowns that looked like they were flowing water, and like the model's head was like above it, and it reminds me of Ponyo when they're like in the water bubbles. It's really amazing. I'm comparing her work to Japanese anime. Like, that means something. And then obviously we all died over that black and white like butterfly dress. It was amazing, it was great. It was Iris, that's what she does. The most interesting thing for me was her use of felt, which I felt was weird because I never really see her using like fabric. It's not something that she's ever like, oh, here's a bunch of fabric pieces, go for it. I don't think that these jackets that she used the felt in were really amazing, but it makes me wonder if she's ever considering doing ready-to-wear and just inserting her cool techniques into a ready-wear format. If we get Iris Van Herpen ready-to-wear, honestly, I will sell my first 4 children for just like 3 pieces. Yeah, 3 is good. I'd be happy with that. As always, Iris Van Herpen is the definition of haute couture excellence. We love her, we worship her, she is an icon, and I love being a part of her cult. Next up is Dior. So Maria Grazia's Dior collection was the best collection I think I've ever seen from her, but that doesn't mean that it's good. From the fabric to the silhouette to the overall vibe, I felt that she was looking to reach an older, crustier, dustier client, because those new dresses are not going to be wowing the youth. I will say that there were at least 10 looks that I thought were good. I loved some of those beautiful wool coats. I was getting some Queen Elizabeth in the crown sort of vibes as well. And then we also got some like sexy ass Princess Margaret kind of at a party, kind of doing her thing with the commoners vibe. But they all seemed like really ready-to-wear-esque, and like, I don't want that. Also, I can see the 1950s in the clothes. Like, I'm sorry, it's 2018. Like, I get you love to throw back every once in a while. That's great, every once in a while. Not every single collection you do. Here's a really great compromise. You know what? Just give her her own brand under the LVMH label. And you know what? I will say this is great, Maria Grazia. Like, this is really amazing. I love this for her. But let's stop dragging Dior's name through the mud. Like, it's not working. Nobody's excited. Dior Haute Couture is supposed to be revolutionary. The new look was revolutionary in 1947. It's 2018. I need it to be revolutionary. Otherwise, it's not really Dior Haute Couture. It just has a fucking Dior label on it. I'm starting to get desensitized to this Dior bashing. So can we like stop? Because it's scaring me. Next up is Giambattista Valli. Giambattista Valli wanted his collection to be youthful because he said that his couture customer saw haute couture in a new way. I doubt that, but okay sis. I will admit I was really taken with the feathers. I especially loved them on the tweed where they looked like it was molting off of them. I really liked the little feather shoes, although they could have been better. I think that the overcompensating feather trim on one of the coats was really great, and I liked when they ombre some of the feathers to actually match the floral prints on a dress that they were accessorized with. Because that, I think, is actually couture. I think that's amazing. I really love that. But the rest of the show was fucking boring. Like, they were just clothes. There was nothing really there. There was no heart. It just wasn't really interesting. Yes, there were big tulle dresses, but Molly Goddard does that in ready-to-wear. Yes, there were heavily embroidered suits, but a shit ton of designers do that in ready-to-wear. And yes, were there diamond-encrusted baby doll dresses with big capes? Yes, but honestly, like, you couldn't just do that in ready-to-wear? To me, it's just not haute couture, it is ready-to-wear. And I refuse to sit here and say, oh my god, it's so great because it's haute couture. Like, no, it's not. It's fucking boring ready-to-wear. So let's just keep it ready-to-wear. Haute couture has to be revolutionary or inspiring. And I'm not saying that right now Chanel has to be revolutionary or inspiring, although I would like it to be. But in the day, Chanel was revolutionary and inspiring. You do not work at a hallowed big brand. You're doing your own brand. Like, you need to get it together. It needs to be good, it needs to be original, it needs to be revolutionary from you, from Giambattista Valli. Otherwise, I don't really give a shit. So Jamba, let's get it together because I don't want to have this conversation over and over and over again because it gets really boring really fast. Next up is Chanel. I have to say I was quite impressed with the Chanel collection, and that's something that I've said very rarely in the past year. The concept, yes, concept with a K, was based on the view from Karl's Paris apartment, which resulted in a rainbow of muted grays, which were accented by blues, greens, pinks, yellows, oranges, and a few blacks. Karl usually lets his sets do the talking, but I was impressed by the design aesthetic because we actually got to see amazing skirt suits and dresses with slits on both the sleeves and skirts. I do think that the idea wasn't fully finished because at certain angles the clothes did look kind of weird, but I honestly was so happy to see a fresh design idea from Karl that I was like, you know what, it's fine, we're just gonna work with it. There were a few pieces I fell in love with. One was an off-the-shoulder gray tweed dress with a big slit up the side, another was an amazing mint green skirt suit, and I really loved a pink tweed skirt suit that slit and you could see a little tweed mini skirt underneath. It felt very young, which was nice to see. Karl's more couture pieces were also quite nice. The heavily embroidered linings and sleeves felt youthful, and his sheer dresses didn't feel forced, which was great because they're always so forced. I loved the velvet. I thought it got a little bit too experimental, and the whole holographic section was really awful, but I also really loved a handful of really cute little tweed cropped jackets that went over gowns, and the finale bride was so lovely, and the baby blue look was exquisite. It was miraculous. I lived. Every time that I get to a point where I hate Chanel, Karl gives me a collection that makes me semi-forget the past 4 awful collections. Essentially, Karl Lagerfeld is a fashion gaslighter. Next up is Margiela. John Galliano's Margiela continues to push couture forward the same way that Iris van Herpen's does. I will admit I'm super biased. I love John's work. It is so wonderful and amazing and inspiring to me personally. And with this collection, I continue to love the way that he deconstructs and reconstructs pieces, and also the way that he added bright colors that reminded me of his Dior couture days. John said that the inspiration for the collection was how we were all digital nomads and that we all had our own tribes. I think that the VR headsets and the phone holders on ankles really pushed that post-apocalyptic digital vibe. I'm so taken by John's constriction, which I think is really amazing to see in the way that he layers so many pieces and in the way that he covers normal pieces with this tight sheer that almost sticks the model's arms to their sides. But the plastics, the paper, the oversized sleeves, the feathers, and the shag fur all made an appearance, which are things that John has really pushed at his time at Margiela. I love this mixture of John's work and Margiela. I think it's probably one of the most John Margiela collections that we've seen, and I can't wait to see what happens next season. I mean, I think he's revolutionary, and I really love what he does. Next up is Fendi. With this Fendi collection, I actually only realized that Fendi only shows for the fall couture season. It's a really smart business move for them. I'm just an idiot and only realized it like right now. But to not be able to recognize that fur is on the outs in the fashion industry would be silly. But then there's the question, what is a brand like Fendi supposed to do? Well, from this collection, they aren't going to be picking up other brands' slack and putting out more fur looks. Instead, it seems that they're going to make fur into an art form, which might be a step in the right direction for a compromise on both sides. A couple of the looks that seem to be fur actually aren't, but are instead chiffon that are transformed to actually just look like fur. I'll say that 49 looks is way too many, and that we should just cut it down to 25. They just need to give us the looks that really matter. I will say I'm in love with the fur patch coats. I think that it looks like a waxed animal, and in place of fur, little flowers like grew into the skin. It's really cute. And I think that the fur coats and dresses are really cute and simple, and they mix fur and feathers really, really well. And one skirt suit in that short fur looked like it had little flecks of gold in it, and I literally just died. Overall, a great group of separate ideas, but the collection needs to come together and deliver a spectacular show. But I guess I'll have to wait till next year to see it. Next up is Guo Pei. Guo Pei, while talked about for her iconic Rihanna dress, still seems to be on the outside of the Western fashion industry, from my viewpoint. I'm hoping that she's getting the same amount of press that every other brand gets, if she wants that. And if she's not, Western fashion media, go fuck yourself. While the first Monday in May has shown how the West interpreted the East through clothing, Guopei shows us her interpretations of Western churches and religion. Guopei said that she doesn't believe that haute couture has to be wearable, or that it has to resemble ready-to-wear in the slightest. But I think that her clients could easily find a more wearable piece through the web-like monastic hood dress, the Gothic-inspired dress with a pointed neckline, the wearable hooded and embroidered jumpsuit, or the detailed gold plissé dress that reminds us of the decadence of the Catholic Church. I think Guopei's work is really important, and it's nice to see a designer that is outside of the normal Western European American atmosphere. So bless you, Guopei. You are one of the haute couture queens, and we literally stand always. Finally, we're going to be talking about Valentino. Pier Paolo's last couture collection literally rocked Couture Week, the Met Gala, and then Troye Sivan's stylist. I mean, those Philip Tracy hats are iconic, and I think the color scheme was fantastic, but I'm not dying over this season's collection, and I'm still trying to find out why. Personally, to me, it seems outdated and to have no real taste, but I also don't think that I understand Valentino completely. On this one, you guys will have to decide what you think. There's nothing I love, but I'm intrigued by the print pieces, something similar at Schiaparelli. The color combinations were also interesting, but I also think that they could be a way that Pier Paolo is showing the client all of the things that he can do, not necessarily the look that he thinks it should be. He's essentially putting out a cheese plate of haute couture pieces, fabrics, colors, techniques, and saying, pick and choose what you want. This isn't how I would have arranged my cheese plate, but you know what? It is what it is. Finally, those voluminous dresses. They are bright and rich and take up a whole lot of space. But isn't that what we have been told haute couture clients avoid? We're told that they're simple, that they don't show off, and that they refuse to be anywhere close to being nouveau riche. But this collection really makes me wonder if we should really be taking the exclusivity out of haute couture. Now, I know that only a select few would be able to actually purchase haute couture pieces, but what I'm saying is, let's really make it about the craft, not about who can and can't buy it. We should all be able to appreciate and love and admire haute couture, but those that actually can afford it should focus on the fact that it's a craft and that it's an art that's being made just for them, not that they're the only people that can ever have it. I'm sorry that this video did come out late. I hope you guys still enjoyed it. I want to know all of your thoughts on all of the haute couture collections that we talked about, and I promise that I'm going to get much better at uploading. I'm really, really sorry. It's just been crazy not summer as a student, but I promise I'm gonna get on it. Don't be scared, it's gonna happen. So I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and TTYL.